Mario Kart Wii is my baby. It was the first game I ever played back when I was a wee lad of 3. You can thank my dad for that. And since I did it for Super Circuit, I might as well do it for my favorite Mario Kart game ever. That's right, folks! Today I am ranking every track in Mario Kart Wii from worst to best. I will be ranking the tracks based on how fun they are to play and how creative they are. And I will also be ordering them within a tier list, since that I think that will help me formulate my opinions better. S tier is the best of the best. A is awesome, B is good, C isn't the okay to mid-range, aka the higher in C tier we go, the less bored I should sound. D tier is for boring or inoffensively bad tracks, and F tier is the bottom of the barrel, okay? You're not gonna have fun racing on here. But with that said, let's get this show on the road.
Brother,
Sherbetland. One of the 2 tracks to live in F tier. Ice tracks are usually good. You know, I really like GameCube Sherbetland. That one's great. And Snowland is... well, it's passable. This Sherbetland is not passable. In the slightest. The ice physics are really noticeable on this track compared to other ice tracks, and that isn't good because the ice physics are slippery, and slippery means not so precise movements. And that's not fun. Penguins serve as the obstacle for this track, but they're so small and so spread out that you're not getting hit by them accidentally. You're doing it on purpose. The track is so wide and easy that my future 2-year-old son could probably beat this blindfolded. Don't ask how I know about my future son. I deny all the time traveling allegations. I mean, just look at this. Does this look fun to you? Long, straight lines, no turns. It's not all bad though. The music is okay. Yeah, that's about it. We already had a super easy beginner track in the Shell Cup, being Peach Beach, so why did they feel the need to bring this one back? It doesn't add anything new that we couldn't have learned from other tracks, and its one gimmick, the waterfalls, don't even matter all that much because you can get through them without a mushroom. The waterfall is supposed to stop you from advancing without the mushroom, and here I am, going through it just fine. Also, it's called Yoshi Falls, but the only thing remotely close to Yoshi in here is a big Yoshi egg that you can't even see for, like, half of the race. Like, it's only really in the intro cutscene, and that's it. I haven't played the original DS version of the track, so maybe it's better there, but this isn't a DS, this is a Wii. So, next.
You're a poopy head. When we spell it out, you're a poopy head.
I originally had this in F tier, but the more I thought about it, the more I realized that there isn't really anything that is horrible in Desert Hills. But that doesn't make it good. Most people don't like desert tracks, and they'll usually point to this and Dry Desert as the examples of bad desert tracks. And yeah, they're right. It doesn't do anything to stand out as a desert track, and this segment of turns here isn't something I can point to and go, oh yeah, that track. And I think that's the main problem with this track. There just isn't really anything to latch onto it to make it stand out. Sunset Wilds has the sunset. Desert Hills has... nothing.
Wait a minute!
Luigi Circuit. That's the wrong Luigi Circuit. That's better. Luigi Circuit is a beginner track. It's the first track that you'll race on in the game. And so it's meant to be easy. But when you're comparing that to every other track in the game, that doesn't really make it stand out. I like this turn here. You can choose to take the boost pads, or you can go like the shorter way around and just take the normal path. You can also be cool and go through the pipes, because items exist. The ramp here is neat, I guess. It's very much in the same boat as Peach Circuit. It serves its purpose of being a beginner track, and that's about it.
Peter, the horse is here.
Mario Circuit is another case of kind of boring, easy circuit track. So I don't have much to say. This part here is neat, with the chain jump and the boost ramp. The layout's more complex. Yeah, let's just move on already. Circuit 3 is a weird case to say the least. I don't take cup order into account when it comes to these rankings, but it would feel dumb to not mention the fact that a circuit track from the SNES era is in the final cup of the game, depending on which one you play first and whatnot. It isn't even the best version of Mario Circuit 3, because at the very least with 8 Deluxe, the paths are like really wide, so you can take a bunch of shortcuts with mushrooms. Here they're all narrow and boring. Besides that, it's still more interesting than the previous ones, so it'll sit at the top of D tier.
Did you put anything different in it?
I put a bit of...
If you look up the word bland in the dictionary, you'll find Mario Raceway. Similar to Sherbert Land, there's a lot of straightaways with nothing to do, which is not good. But there aren't any ice physics, so it's already miles better. The pipe at the end is a little neat, I guess. But other than that, it's just another circuit track. I mean Raceway. DK Jungle Parkway was already a bore in its original version, so removing the one thing that it had going for it was probably not a good idea. It has a lot of long straightaways of doing nothing like Mario Raceway and Sherbert Land, but I like the aesthetic of the track more, you know? Like the orange juice water. It's orange juice. But there isn't really much to say other than that, so next! Deja vu, I just been in this place before. I liked Shy Guy Beach and Super Circuit because of how satisfying it was to, to hop around the islands. So theoretically, this should be just as good. About that. Hopping was what made the original track fun. So, if the hopping is good in Mario Kart Wii, it should be perfectly fine here. But you press the hop button to drift in this game, not to hop. So hopping is really weird, really clunky, and not so fun and satisfying to do. With the one thing it had going for it gone, it just ends up being an okay beach track. I don't even know if I mentioned this in my Super Circuit ranking or not, I can't remember, but there was a little Shy Guy boat with pirates and they shot bombs. But in the original, the bombs were so tiny and barely made much of an explosion that you could basically forget that they were ever there. They did make the bombs more visible in this one. Now they go from non-existent to they exist, I guess. I think from here on out things are going to get a little more positive though. Oh waiter, more beach tracks please. I don't really know what to say about Beach Beach. I like how you can choose different paths and stuff, that's neat. But other than that, it's just kind of an okay beach track. They removed the pipe shortcut that was at the beginning from the original version, which was just kind of disappointing, but at the same time, that pipe also served like near zero purpose, so who cares? I do like the cataquacks though. If you get hit by them, you get flung upwards and, it makes for a decent obstacle. Also, if I remember correctly, that's what they did in Mario Sunshine. But yeah, other than that, it's just an okay beach track. Daisy Circuit is the only case of shipping that I will agree with. Luigi and Daisy do make a good match. And Nintendo pretty much confirmed it here, so who am I to complain? The sunset theming is really nice. Like, it's probably one of the best looking tracks in the game. The orange juice water's back too, so if you're thirsty, take a little sip. Granted, it's still a circuit track, so the layout isn't all that interesting. But for what it is, I think it is very deserving of C tier. But now we're going into the B tier. This is good stuff now. From what I can tell, most people put Ghost Valley 2 in the lower end of their lists. Nathaniel Bandy in his video on the matter put it at 27th, and Psylocke Hawk put it even lower at 30. But I've had a soft spot for this track for a while that I wasn't really able to explain. A common criticism for Mario Kart Wii as a whole is that the visuals are kind of fogged up and not as colorful, or at least not as colorful as the previous game. I personally do not mind it. I think it looks better in some cases, such as this case. I think it elevates the spooky factor being more faded out. Spooky tracks just end up having darker colors in the first place, so it being more faded out and not as vibrant adds to the spooky aspect of it. Gameplay-wise, it's still an SNES track. These blocks fall down when you hit them, so it kind of makes a progressional difficulty. Like, the more you go on in the race, the more blocks will end up falling down by the third lap. This track is heavily carried by the vibes, so it's not going higher than 21st.
Come down today and try some corn, or we will sacrifice your newborn.
Moon Meadows is one of those tracks where you say you love the bits, and then proceed to give the most average placement ever. These derpy cows are the only reason that this track isn't in C tier. They make for good obstacles and can make for some tight squeezes. The moles do their job of slowing you down with their trails pretty fine. It's just overall a decent track. Monday, happy days. Why they felt the need to put 6 circuit tracks in this game is beyond me. This one's one of the good ones, though. The layout, while simple, is just really fun to drift around. The chain chomp makes for a decent obstacle, along with the piranha plants. They're not as dangerous as they were in the GameCube version, I find, but you know what? They're still there, so they count for something. And the bumps here are trickable now, so that's pretty cool. And the colors are just as vibrant here as they were on the GameCube, so no complaints from me. This is also the last circuit track we'll be seeing in this video. The Super Circuit version of this course was an A tier, so why am I putting it in B tier? The track quality is just generally higher for this game, so tracks that were great in Super Circuit are going to seem not as good in a game with so many great tracks like Mario Kart Wii. Other than that, it's still the same old Bowser Castle 3, you know? The visuals have been revamped, the music doesn't sound crusty and compressed, and overall it's just a fun romp to go through.
The mushroom is right here, Mario. You have not eaten at all today.
I cannot keep escaping reality with these drives!
Mushroom Gorge is one of the fan favorites of this game, and for a good reason. The music is funky, and with the way tricking works, it's really satisfying to bounce on the mushrooms. The only thing stopping me from putting it any higher is just the fact that it doesn't really feel like an A tier. With all the tracks coming up, there's such a wow factor. Mushroom Gorge doesn't give me a wow factor, it gives me a, yeah, it's good. I say A tier as if we're going into the A tier after this, but there's still one more track in B tier. That being... Unlike most Bowser Castles, Nintendo 64 Bowser Castle isn't all about the rock and the suspense. The music and the way that the colors have been catered make it feel more eerie, which is an interesting change of pace. Because of that, however, it lacks the spectacle that you'd otherwise get from a Bowser's Castle. This track is like the Clavier Gavin of Mario Kart. It does something different, but ends up being less interesting because of it. If you know which game Clavier Gavin is from, you get a cookie. But now we're actually getting into the A tier, where things go from good to great.
You pick!
Starting us off in the A tier is Wario's Gold Mine. The main thing I like about this track is how there's always something going on. The road is always going up and down, there's mine carts throughout the cave section, there's bats at the entrance. There's never truly a moment on this track that I feel like I'm just going in a straight line doing nothing. And that is what all tracks should strive for. Koopa Cape? More like Koopa Cope! Oh! Nah, I'm joking. This course is great. Granted, the section before the flowing waterfall is kinda whatever. But besides that, it's a great track. The flowing water part I mentioned is fun. You know, I like going faster, don't you? The underwater part of the track takes place in a tube with these electric spinny things. Which are, you know, they're cool, you know? Especially when the waterfall inside it is making you go faster, it can be harder to dodge at. There are probably some people who have this higher, but I personally think that everything else about this is just better. There are far more interesting things than a cape. Wrong cape. With the way Double Dash controlled, DK Mountain was a lot harder. With all the bumps in the ground, and seeing as how air movement in that game, you couldn't really move in the air. It made it a very hard track to drive properly. And I like that. Mario Kart Wii, you kind of can control yourself in the air, so it's a lot easier. Other than that, though, it's the same old DK Mountain we love. Mountain with a face? Check. Bumpy roads? Check. Cool shortcut that I failed miserably at? Check. It's just a really great track.
What?
No, alright. I know that sounds bad.
Grumble Volcano is pretty divisive to say the least. As an example, Silocock put it at 28th, while Nathaniel Bandy put it at 8th. It's either you love it or you hate it. So which side do I stand by? I mean, it's all the way up here, so I guess I like it. The gimmick for this track is that it slowly crumbles apart, meaning that this turn here on lap 1 is a lot harder than on lap 3, and that's pretty cool. I like the Volcano aesthetic, it makes it stand out compared to other lava-based tracks, and the chaotic music matches with the track, despite the song by itself being kinda whatever. If you don't like Grumble Volcano, that's a you issue, not a Grumble issue. Dry Ruins is Desert Hills, if it was good. Everything here just has so much more detail and charm that it surprises me that they even thought it was a good idea to bring Desert Hills back in the first place. But yeah, all the details and little signs around the place make it very unique. There's a temple you drive through that has a sand pit that like fills up every lap, which is pretty neat. The half pipes here are placed pretty nicely so that you can just speed through the sand. That's pretty cool. It's very good and it deserves to be in the A tier.
Does this ever happen to you?
And cracking onto the top 10, we have Peach Garden. The one problem with DS Peach Gardens was the fact that it was on the DS, and the DS looks ugly. But now that we're on the Wii, things are crystal clear. 720p. The hedge maze in the middle is fun to navigate through. The chain chomps running around the track is just charming, and the music really makes it feel like you're in Peach's garden. Truly, a great way to start off the top 10. And sitting at the top of A tier is Coconut Mall. The only reason it isn't S tier is because I've raced on it so many times that whenever someone chooses it, I begin to sigh. S tier tracks should not be making me sigh. You know, I let out a big... Do you know a track that makes you like that? Is it an S tier? I thought so. But other than that, this track is awesome. The posters change on the wall with whatever Miis you have. You can see your Miis bouncing around in the crowd, and it's kind of funny. I like that you can choose whether to take the top path or the bottom path, and just the idea of racing in a mall is really funny. All the tracks above this are truly amazing, and the highlights of this game for sure. Delfino Square's entire vibe is just really nice. A riverside city full of piantas. It references sunshine without being on the beach for once, and the walls in this section are really close to each other, which makes it harder. We can't also forget how satisfying it is to jump from the bridge. It doesn't do anything completely wrong, and that's why it's an S tier. Possibly the best Mushroom Cup track ever is Toad's Factory. The conveyor belts are interesting hazards. If the conveyor belt's going this way, you're going this way, you're going faster. If the conveyor belt's going this way and you're going this way, you're going slower. And that's pretty cool. And when you mix it up with these timing-based stomping things, it leads to some quick thinking on whether or not you want to take the conveyor belt or not, which I really like. The crates are, for the most part, a color of Toad, which is cool. I love how the big jump near the end, like, resets the music, so every time you jump on it, it always gives that big... It's really nice. This mud section is fun too, requiring quick thinking to choose the open boost panel. It goes above and beyond for being a Mushroom Cut track and stands up with some of the greats in Mario Kart. Waluigi Stadium was already a good track at Double Dash, so adding these half pipes just make it 10 times better. Especially now that tricking is a thing. For context, the active tricking, or shaking the Wii remote, was only added in disking, so Double Dash and anything older didn't have it. That made Waluigi Stadium feel like it was missing something in the original. But with tricking implemented here, everything is much more energetic and fun. It's so energetic and fun that this Bullet Bill had to do something about it. Baby Park's an A-tier track. It's so chaotic and there's things flying around all the time and I love it! But the layout at the end of the day is an oval. Baby Park is not in Mario Kart Wii. Why am I talking about Baby Park? Because Moonview Highway is next at number 5. Moonview Highway is loaded to the brim with cars, and along with the usual Mario Kart Wii chicanery, it makes for an experience nearly identical to Baby Park. And with the layout being more complex and not just an over-glorified oval, it takes more than just turning right, aka skill. And before you bring it up, no, the cars aren't unfair. They all move in a pattern that can be learned properly if you race on it enough. What enough means for other people might vary compared to me, but I was able to get it in my brain fairly quickly. But even if you know how the cars work, you still gotta dodge them, which makes it that much more chaotic and that much more fun. Bowser has too many castles. You must have a castle buying addiction or something like that. This Bowser Castle is worth its money though. There are just so many unique ideas that calling it anything other than S tier just isn't right. There's a cool jump to start the track off. Then there's the wobbly halls and the Bowser statue. It shoots fireballs and you can go around them with the half pipes. Or you could jump through the middle for a quicker route at the risk of being hit by one of the fireballs. There's an upward spiral with thwomps and a cool jump at the end of it. And then a land patch full of geysers to end the whole thing off. All those unique elements combined into one track makes it very fun to play through. And if all of this just lands at number 4, then the top 3 really are amazing. As a Canadian, I can say that Maple Truay does look a lot like what our fall season looks like. The orange looks very nice, and I feel confident in saying that this is the best looking track in Mario Kart Wii. There's multiple alternating paths and shortcuts for you to take. Workload being here is funny, and he can be an interesting obstacle with how his walking patterns are. And the music is just such a vibe.
That's not DK!
DK Summit is a blast to play through. With how tricking works in this game, you're in the air for a very long time, which is really satisfying to do. So loading the track with boost ramps and half pipes is the perfect way to get all that airtime, and it works great. The final section here even has some strategy into play, because if you're not careful, these snowboarding shy guys will ram into you. And the shortcuts you can do here are really cool. I'm bad at the game though, so I can't. It definitely deserves second place. It's Wii Rainbow Road! We all know it. We all love it. It's the hardest track in the game, by a long shot. With this turn specifically being a real nerve-wracker, you're always going fast, it has Mario Galaxy written all over it, and I love it for that. All the different paths make each lap feel unique, and this end bit with the tube gave me a magical feeling when I was younger. And as always, the music is great. The best ending track for the best Mario Kart game. Despite the abundance of improvements that future Mario Kart games have over this one, Mario Kart Wii will always be my personal favorite out of all of them. I hope I was able to portray that through my ranking, even if I was a bit harsh at times. If you like what you see, please consider liking and subscribing. I have lots more gaming related content coming to the channel. I am a gaming channel after all. Here is the tier list of my tracks. I have a Discord server, which the link will be in the description. So if you want to join that, hey, start talking. It's getting lonely in there. But with all that said, I'll see you on the next video.